Charlie. Far from it. Instead of printing cartoons or challenging crazed Muslims, the self-congratulatory media turns tail, waving the flag of Islamophobia, some even apologizing for Western bigotry that hasn't even happened. The paper, the French paper, was different. Their blasphemy exposed a religion so easily spooked by a cartoon that they killed for it, over and over again. And now the media shows that carnage, but not the cartoons. A huge victory for madmen, for we're advertising their handiwork to new recruits, but not their sad, pathetic insecurities. We took our cue from terror, and now we're playing by their rules.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, very strong words, but very true words. Joining us now is Mark Hemingway, senior writer at the Weekly Standard. And Mark, welcome, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
It's my pleasure. Your piece, Don't Be Deceived by the Reaction to Charlie Hebdo Massacre. Our media are cowards. You're very much in line with what we just heard, and it seems to be the case.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think that there's enough that could be said in strong enough terms about what's going on right now. We have a lot of people in the media that are crowing about how they stand for the First Amendment and how they stand for free speech. But the reality is that it's convenient for them to do so now, but they haven't done it when it's not so convenient.
Yeah, well, you talk about a personal story when you were working at the op-ed desk of the Washington Examiner. Elaborate.
Yeah, well, so everybody's talking about these famed cartoonists at Charlie Hebdo who were killed, and my question was, what about Molly Norris? After the massacre earlier this week, a lot of news organizations broadcasted this hit list that was published in Al-Qaeda magazine, and just below the name of the famous cartoonist Sharb, who was killed at Charlie Hebdo, there was the name Molly Norris, and it immediately struck a bell with me, which is that in September of 2010, Molly Norris, who was the former cartoonist for the Seattle Weekly, went into hiding because Yemeni American cleric Anwar al-Awlaki put out a fatwa on her because she had created something called Everybody Draw Muhammad Day. And you know, at the time, almost no one in the media commented on this. No one cared that this woman was being forced into hiding for saying something that Muslims didn't like. I mean, it was just total radio silence from the media. And so I pointed this out, that nobody in the media was saying anything. And I called up a couple of professional media organizations and asked them about this. They didn't know about it. They hadn't said anything. And when I pointed that out in the editorial, one of those organizations, the Society for Professional Journalists, started emailing reporters privately all over the country, telling them that my editorial was misleading and that it was written to just, gain headlines and search engine optimization, which was so just patently untrue. And unfortunately for them, I recorded the conversation. So with the transcript handy, it was of my conversation with them, it was pretty clear who was being misleading here. And it's just astonishing that they would exhibit such cowardice and then they would lie about it after the fact.
Yeah, and you got to go back. You talk about the press. How about the press secretary for the President of the United States? I mean, can you imagine? I'm just trying to figure this out. Can you imagine if Ari Fleischer had criticized a liberal publication for something they did, and then a couple of years later, someone goes in there and shoots up? I mean, they blamed Sarah Palin for the shooting of Gabby Giffords because on her website she said that it was a targeted district. So you have Jay Carney in 2012 taking this very magazine to task for printing these very cartoons. Right. I mean, it's insane.
Right. No, the hypocrisy and the false equivalencies for this are just off the charts. And I'm glad that everybody's on the same page now, but it's just simply because it's so convenient and is the thing that's going to make everybody feel good on social media. But it doesn't change the fact that, this White House in particular has actively undermined free speech. In particular, it wasn't just Charlie Hebdo. Think about what the reaction to Benghazi. I mean, what did they do? They conveniently found
the video. In the same statement, he blamed the video. He mentioned the video for Benghazi's attack. Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And what did they do? They conveniently found an excuse to jail the filmmaker of that. And then the President of the United States went to the UN and said that the future must not belong.
The future does not belong to those who, the Prophet Muhammad, yeah. And not only that, he made an apologetic video with Hillary Clinton to the Muslim world.
Yes, And I mean, like, I don't know where to begin with something like that.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, Mark, we got to begin at the end because we're at the end of the segment. But great having you on. Great piece. Folks, check it out at weeklystandard.com. Mark Hemingway, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Take care. All right, up next, folks, the chairman of Americans for a Safe Israel will join us. And I think he came equipped with a map as well. Watch when we come back.